In regards to buying collections, Ricky, what would you like to talk about?
First of all, I noticed that you've been buying some. 'Cause I've never bought like huge collections, whether it's like of common cards or showcase cards.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of want to pick your brain on how you price out stuff like that.
So buying collections, I think, is easier than buying one or two cards. And that may sound kind of weird in a vacuum because, like, oh, if I'm just buying one or two cards, I just have to look up one or two cards and that's it. The pricing and negotiating, I believe, gets a little bit more complex when you're buying just one or two or just a low amount of cards because we can really focus in on those values of the card. So if, let's say the comps are $100 on that card, guy doesn't want to go below 85 on it. Well, if you're not going to give him 85, then you're not going to get the card. Whereas if we're looking at a bigger collection, it's like, all right, I can wrap my head around your 85 if I'm able to get, say, 60 on this card or 70 on that card. That's also worth $100. And then you just kind of rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. And therefore everything kind of balances out. So like for instance, yesterday I picked up like a Pokemon lot, some nice cards and some lower end cards. And my thought process was, well, I'll pay strong on the chaser cards and get a really good deal on the cheaper ones because I know I'm getting the cheaper cards for less than what I know I'll be able to sell them for. And that profit, so to speak, will kind of help balance out the higher end stuff that I paid strong on. Every deal is totally different. Every collection is totally different, but you have to go through it. And what I tell people is if it's like a binder or like a 2-row box, I'm like, pick out some of the highest valued cards that you think is here. 5 highest value, 10 highest value, and let's go from there because those cards are going to determine the whole value. Well, not the whole value, but the majority of the value of the lot. So like class is in session. This whole lot here, if the camera can pick up on it, the lighting kind of sucks, is honestly just all, I mean, it's all like quarter bin stuff, dime bin stuff, cheaper stuff. So I'm looking at this stuff and like, this video was brought to you by my loyal patrons through the channel membership program. Pledge today and receive exclusive perks, benefits, early access to videos, and more. Link in the description. This whole box is full of that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I couldn't even tell you who that guy is. Actually, I don't even know who is it. I can immediately, and I'll kind of give you a Pokemon example in a second, but when it comes to sports cards, it's like, all right, well, first of all, do we know who this guy is? Do we know what team he plays for right now? The answer is probably no for a lot of these bigger collections, because if it was anybody of relevance or anybody of value, it wouldn't be in a 3-row box shoved in there, right? If it was like a Luka card, it would be set aside. If it was a Tatum card, it'd be set aside. Somebody just wanted to get rid of it. That's a premium. So in terms of pricing, it's just, you kind of have to go for feel of what you can sell it for. So like for me, those cards are going to go in the quarter bin. And obviously, if you add it all up, quarter times, whatever that number is, but we know that we're not going to be able to sell all those cards in the quarter bin. I don't want to say you just kind of throw numbers out at there, but like, all right, well, I think this one row is worth $20 to me because here is a quarter times 4, 40, 80. Thank you. So here's 80 cards right here. All right, well, I still have 70% of the row left. Okay, so that's a good profit right there. And if I just times that by 3 for the 3 rows, it's like, all right, well, I think this box is worth, obviously that's 60, but let's say, hey, 50. And you just kind of go from there. Now, obviously, that's just kind of a super vacuum of just that one box right there. And again, every deal is different, especially if you get into it could be a collection of $5 cards, $10 cards. But even then, you got to have to undervalue it a little bit. And even at an undervalue, it still compounds to a value, to a significant number that's probably worth it to whoever is selling it because, well, it's just a box sitting in my closet and some offer and some cash is better than nothing at all. And I don't want to go through the whole work. So like, it also depends on who you're working with as well. But in terms of Pokemon, that one's tricky. That one's really tricky. The collection that I got yesterday, I don't even want to say it was a collection. It was more of a lot. I think that there's a little difference between a collection and a lot. So again, I just plucked out a bunch of Vs and V Maxes that they had. And I was like, okay, I think I can do a lot with this stuff here. So it's like balancing out what you can sell. I know I can sell dollar cards and $2 cards crazy fast. So there's my immediate return on investment. Some of the higher end cards, it's like, well, if I'm buying these, am I able to sell it quickly? Now I know I have EC3 Con coming up. So I can take those cards and bring it with me and hopefully it'll sell quickly there. If not, it'll come back to the shop and it'll look good here at the shop. Whereas those $2 cards, they'll sell pretty quickly. So it's all about kind of justifying the what's in front of you. Can you sell it fast or not? If you can, you might pay stronger. If you can't, then you're going to pay less on it because it's like, well, I'm going to have to do this with that. I'm going to have to do that, organize, break it down. It's going to sit, da 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 da. And that's where the whole conversation comes in, the whole transparency comes in. And if the seller's okay with it, they'll stick around. If not, then the deal wasn't meant to be. And never overextend. Whatever you're comfortable with, the number. Like there was a collection on Monday that came in. I was at $1,000. Kid was like, I can't do it. I think it's worth more than that. And I was like, it is worth more. You're right. But you want to sell it all to go into something else. I don't know. I don't know what the hell it was. I'm here offering you $1,000. You can do a lot with that. You move on from this. Or you can piece it out and try to sell it individually and sure make more money, but it's going to take longer. So it's also like trying to provide like a realization of reality to them as well. Maybe I don't know if it helps that I have a counseling degree, so I can kind of like, I don't want to say smooth talk, but like I know kind of like some trigger keywords to say at a given moment. But not every deal happens. And I was like, listen, I'll go up to 1,100, but that's about it. Because at that point I was like, all right, now I'm really squeezing. But there was some nice chase cards in there that I thought I could do really well with, and it didn't happen. So I was like, you know what, fine, it's cool. So being able to back away from a deal is also important as well.
If you don't want to do the deal, don't do the deal. Don't feel like you have to, especially at a show. Sometimes you feel like you have to make a deal to make your time worth it, the entry fee, whatever, but you don't. But anyways, no, back to the buying collections. After hearing you explain it, I think it's just more knowing the cards, knowing the market without having to look it up. Because it's like, see people like you buying collections without even looking at the prices and spending a decent amount on it. So you kind of, I guess you have to know the market pretty well.
I know my market here at Murph's Car Town. I know what people will buy and what people won't buy. So like, I think that puts me in a separate position than say someone who just kind of does Whatnot or eBay. Someone who does Whatnot, they'll know their market as well, their customers, where eBay is just a vast ocean, honestly. Whoever's willing to just buy it now or bid on a card. Like I look at it this way, like Ty Law is a great example. Past couple Prism sets, he's had a bunch of cards, some really good, red prism, blue prism, silver, whatever. And one of the best cornerbacks within the last 25 years, arguably the best cornerback in Patriots history, but nobody wants him. Why? Same thing with like, good example, David Ortiz, because he's just staring at, literally in front of me because I have a picture right, behind the camera. That's why one of the best hitters in Red Sox history, one of the best hitters ever, super likable guy, all the accolades you could want. Well, when his autographs go for $100 or $150 on cards, why aren't people scooping that up? Because to go meet him, it's like $400 or $500 to get like 10 seconds with him to sign something, and then you're on your merry way. Why don't people want David Ortiz at $100 or $150? I mean, that I have no idea, but like, even if I get the card for 75, like it's still not going to sell. So it's like something that I painfully have to pass on because I know that it's not going to sell. Then there's stuff that you just know that will sell, Tatum rookies, Brown rookies. Once Roman Anthony gets called up, like I got an autograph of his kind of in the wings. Obviously I know it's off season, but like Jaden Daniels and Penix and McCarthy, that's kind of slowed down a little bit. Whereas in April and March, it was selling crazy. Knowing your market. And when I'm going through a collection or a lot or whatever it may be, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think that random patch of Tony Kukoc is going to sell well. I don't think that random patch of Kendrick Perkins or that random out of 10 of Kendrick Perkins will sell well, even though he's, a fan favorite and, he played for the Celtics and won. It's hard for me to value that. Sure, it has $8 of value according to eBay. I'm not going to argue that, but I can't value it at $8. I can't value it at 70%. Because it just doesn't make sense for me to just have it sit in a box. And just kind of the realization of what sells and what won't sell will help make you be able to kind of dictate the value kind of on the fly. Also for me, at least kind of knowing really quickly where it's going to go in the shop. Kendrick Perkins patch, immediate 20% bin. Jason Tatum Prism rookie, that's a case card. Ty Law neon green pulsar prism, probably the 20% bin. So just being able to kind of on the fly, just kind of figure out where it's going to go will also help me be able to kind of value. Because if it goes in the dollar bin, well, it's a dollar card and I have to get it for less than $1. If it goes in the 20% bin, well, I know it's not going to be at everybody's face in the case. Whereas case cards, everybody's looking at it. So I know it'll be able to sell quicker. So just kind of being able to kind of figure that out on the fly, I think is very helpful because, when we're at Fanatics Fest, I'm hoping to buy some collections and lots, and I'm going to be able to kind of be like on the fly, like that I know I can sell, that I can't, that's going to go here, that's going to go there. Let's pick out a few cards. Let's look up a few cards, whatever you think is valuable, and then we'll just kind of go from there with it. And if people are willing to make a deal and willing to negotiate, then hopefully a deal can be made. Being able to, I guess for me, being a shop owner, buying collections, buying cards off of people is super important. I see Rob all the time from Burbanks, preach about providing liquidity, giving people a place to sell cars, to get capital, to go put more into the hobby or whatever it may be. And I completely agree with that philosophy. However, you can't buy everything, A. But B, even if you were to buy everything, you need to get it at a good price point, and the seller needs to understand, which a lot of people who come to me do understand. Oh, it's a business. You got to be able to sell it, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's the challenge is getting the seller to realize that, yeah, you have a $3 card, but I'm not going to value it at $3 because if you go sell it on, you can put it on a $3 card on eBay and walk away with like 2 and change if you want. Go ahead. I'm going to put in my 20% bid, but here's my offer, right? And I think at the end of the day, just providing an offer and just letting them hear it, you might offend them. You might be fair, who knows? But just providing an offer in general, I do think goes a long way. Just to give them something to kind of think about. Like, all right, I'll come back and think about it. And if they do, great. If not, then are you thinking about trying to like get into the whole like collection buying?
I don't know. I mean,
it does provide the best price point, in my opinion, for cards. Like, you can buy cards at 70% all you want, but once you really calculate the math and such of the collection, you might find yourself buying things at 45%, but you have to just provide more capital up front for it.
I think for me to do that, I need to start setting up at shows again.
I remember, I don't know if you remember, Steve and Carlo, they came to a few trade nights. I don't know if you've already moved. Okay. So what they would do is they would look at it, look up a few things, and they'd be like, hey, here, I mean, they would buy massive quantities, really cashing people out, and they have the capital to do that. And let's say your collection's worth 20 grand, right? And they said, hey, we'll give you a 10 grand for it all right here, right now, cash. We'll take it all out, take it or leave it. So it's like they almost kind of strong arm you in a way, like a take it or leave it. Like, but they're also saying, hey, we'll give you 10 grand cash for all this stuff that's worth 20 grand. No eBay fees, no listing, no work, no shipping, no nothing.
Right.
Like, you're losing half the value on your stuff, but like 10 grand up front is hard to decline. Like, I mean, if you had 20 grand worth of stuff and you knew like, oh, I could list it on eBay, I could put, whatnot and all that stuff and put in all this work and effort, or get rid of all that stuff and just walk away with the 10 grand. A lot of people don't understand that concept because like, oh, I'm losing half my value. I paid so much more for this. I'm losing so much. Yeah, but hey, here's 10 grand and you don't have to do any work. You just have to give us the cards. So I do think that there's a premium in again, making an offer, providing some reality and a realization. Obviously, they were vendors as well, but they would also go to people's houses and buy collections. But being on the vendor side of the table does give us a position to be like, hey, we got to buy it at 70%, even store owner or not, I got to be able to buy it at 70% to make something on it. And like, walking around, you don't really get to say that because the vendor you're selling to is going to be like, oh, I gotta buy it at 70%. Being a vendor definitely helps. And like, I know people who just set up at shows, they'll have like one case full of cards, but they're rarely there to buy cards.
Just to buy.
Yep. And I think if you're there just to buy, I'm not a fan of that. Like, just have a case of cards just to show off or something. But no, I mean, setting up at a show to be able to sell, like, I mean, that's why the West Coast Card Show, I don't know how much selling I'm going to do. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to bring. I'm thinking of bringing the Card Town armor. I'm not sure. I mean, I can rent a case, so I might rent a case and bring some cards, but I want to go there to buy and just get exposed to a different market, different cards.